What is going on, everyone? My name's Boit, and I am back with some more Age of Mythology, the Titans action, sporting in the top of the map in the red color, playing as Thor. His name is Suppe. His opponent today in the blue color, playing as Isis now. His name is Joe. Changing it up here. I'm surprised to see the change, in all honesty. Potentially, Joe was expecting some sort of a god switch here from Suppe, but Suppe sticks with the Thor here. And we'll see how this is going to go. The map is painted desert. First win going to Joe. And Joe here, not quite opening with exactly the build order that I recommend. I'm recommending Isis players, set players, and Ra players alike to go for 2 villagers on food, 2 villagers on gold. But if you put a 3rd villager to gold relatively early here with this opening, you will be able to afford all your obelisks, get a monument down, get a temple down, and have a strong early game. So we'll see how things are going to go here for Joe. I'm kind of interested now in what Suppe is doing in this early game, because Suppe is a bit of an innovator here for Thor. We focused on the early game of Joe last game, so let's check out exactly what Suppe is doing here. So first and foremost, you see he at the early stages of the game, Suppe moved over and he shanked these goats here to get himself the favor to get himself out a very, very early pig stick. You can see he's already got hunting dogs and pig sticker, so he's easily going to be able to get these rhinoceros here. He's now chucking villagers over onto the palm tree, not going for any sort of ox cart, early ox cart here. One thing that I think you can afford to do here as a complete different option is, instead of, once you get pig sticker, instead of going onto this zebra, he could have dragged the rhinoceros over onto this palm tree, and he could have been sharing the ox cart here with both of these positions. But instead, we see an ox cart coming out, and Suppe is going to be now moving forward onto this hunt here to grab the rhino in the middle of the map and be able to get himself out a temple, and everything else comes down. So it makes a lot of sense why he did that opening. He's on 2 separate bits of hunt now, and he's arguably going to be able to leave this rhino alive in his base for later in the game, which I really, really do like. So we'll see what his game plan is going to be here. Last game, we saw him rush up a second town center. He went for like a 4-minute advance time into a second town center, and could not quite make it work against the set. But now against the Isis, it's a very different matchup. So what can Isis really do here in this matchup? Isis got obviously 2 options, Anubis and Bast. So if you go Anubis, obviously making Anubites can be very, very difficult to deal with. If you go for Bast, however, you got access to the Ancestors Eclipse timing push, which is very, very similar to the timings that Set can push, but a little bit more potent with the Eclipse to help those Ancestors and your Myth units out. So we'll see what's going to happen here as Suppe here does click up to the heroic, not to the classical age through 4 setting, very, very fast. Joe on the other side of the map here looks like he's going for a much, much slower advance time, maybe a 4:30 here or something like that. And it looks like he's probably looking for some sort of a, I'm actually not sure. He could still go for a classical fight here with a second monument coming up, but we'll have to wait and see. As only 4 villagers right now on the hunt. He's got himself 6 villagers on the wood. He's got his Ulfsark sniping down an obelisk over there. A house going down as well. The obelisk over here getting taken down. We see Herso getting produced. Anubis is the god of choice here for Joe. Now, I like the faster advance time here with the Anubis. There's kind of several different ways to do Anubite raids or Anubite style play here with Isis. You can go for a really, really fast advance time with no monuments, throwing the monuments down a little bit later, which is a classical fight, very, very aggressive classical fight. You can go for a later advance time at 4:30, having 2 monuments. Or you can go for a much earlier 2 monument play and go for a 5-minute advance time, have a little bit more favor, and have your Anubites hitting a little bit later, but having just that little bit more favor. So those are your options. Personally, I'm more of a fan of advancing really, really fast here with Isis, setting the priest and pharaoh forward onto the town centers to make sure no second town centers are going up, and then start looking at kind of fast, aggressive play here with Isis in terms of classical fights. But we're going to see a very, very polite game here as both players opting into a fast second town center. Surprised to see Joe actually going through Anubis with this fast second town center. He will have access to a Anubite that can harass. We will be seeing Soup utilizing his Troll and a Herser sitting on this position over here to help defend, as the town center is going to be coming up over here. And Soup, he probably doesn't need to have all of this wood income anymore. You can start thinking about dragging his villagers over here onto the rhinoceroses. We do see the villagers kind of long distance hunting on this position for a little bit, but not really the biggest of problems there, as Joe's going to be getting his town center up first. Soup going to be getting his town center up second, even though he advanced first here. This is very, very normal, though, in terms of how this works. One of the reasons why this is fair, reasonable, and you shouldn't complain as a Norse player is because when you're building this town center up, you're getting resources, whereas your opponent here with 7 villagers building that town center up effectively loses around 150 to 200 resources. I can't remember exactly the math to build that town center. So it's completely fair and reasonable, as Joe's going to be sitting just a little bit in front in terms of villages as the Anubites searching around. Do we see a second Anubite coming out here from Joe, or is he just going to be simply using that one Anubite to cause some pressure here, as we do see Joe moving in onto this position, going to be sniping down some of those Bat Gazelle, causing some problems for Soup here. Soup's not going to be happy about this, but it's not the biggest of deals. If I was Soup, I would just leave this hunt over now if I noticed that this was happening and just eat this hunt straight away. Come back over onto this position. He's already shot down a couple of Gazelle here. He's also going to be moving over there fairly early. So yes, he is losing a little bit of hunt, but at this point, it's not the biggest of deals. So there is a rule in the tournament that you're not allowed to kill hunt in the Archaic Age. It's just a little bit too abusive for certain civilizations, and it can really, really ruin the chances of a civilization to win the game in an interaction that you cannot really do anything about. So the reason why it's fine or not okay is that, and why it's fine in the Classical Age is you will be able to come over onto this hunt and eat it nonetheless without losing too much hunt in the end. But yes, a slight advantage is going to be grabbed there for Joe here in this game. So too can Soup do this kind of thing if he wants to move over here and start harassing these Gazelle with his Ulfsark and pick those off. Not the worst of ideas. We are seeing that Joe is simply put here, just going to be going for a 2-town center fast heroic. Absolutely love this play here against Joe, especially with Joe not going through Bast. He's not going to have anything to worry about here, especially because he hasn't really taken any damage. He's going to be hitting a very, very clean 830-ish heroic age. Same too for Joe. Should be looking for 830 or a 9-minute heroic age. He does have the barracks up. He's putting up a second barracks as well, as the villagers moving back here could move onto the Gazelle on that position there as well. I'm not sure exactly where he's going with those villagers. Does Joe know about it? Yes, he does. Not sure where he's going. Well, he's looking for a 3rd town center, actually. An interesting decision. This does let Soup do whatever he wants here. Honestly, if I saw this 3rd town center going up for Soup, I might actually think about going for a really, really fast Mythic Age through tier here, with the idea that the Fimble Winter Wolves hurt the economy, and you can start thinking about making Fenris Wolves to defend literally anything that come your way. But we'll see what's going to happen here if Soup's decision, what Soup's decision is going to be here in this game against this kind of almost delayed 3rd town center. 8-minute 3rd town center here is a little bit delayed, considering no military units have come out really for Soup. For Joe. Soup, on the other hand, obviously having to build some military units himself. Skadi is on the way. Prosperity going to be getting dropped down here for Joe. Does he have himself Shaft Mine? I don't understand this Prosperity in the slightest. Someone explain this to me. What's the plan? He's got 1,000 gold already. Is he wanting to farm? He's put plenty of villagers on gold. At the very least, he has done it correctly in that he's got the max amount of villagers on gold. I do think that the best way to utilize Prosperity as ISIS is to get Shaft Mine, have a market up, and drop Prosperity. But Joe right now, he is not in the heroic age. He's having to farm. So he's doing this to farm, which I am so very against. You cannot imagine how against this I am. I am as against this as I possibly can be. But Joe going to be floating tons of gold. He's going to be able to put a whole bunch of farms down. He's got all of these gazelle on this position. He's also got some goat remaining. He has finished all of the stuff up here. He could have thrown down some farms. He's got the gazelle up on this position as well. Obviously not wanting to go over there because it's a bit of a weakness. We do see the Anubai here coming through for Joe, going to be scouting this one out as Soup moving up to the top corner of the map to immediately drop a market as he sees the town center is up. Soup's got to be really happy with this. If Soup manages here, he's got a back gold. He's got everything he wants. If Soup manages here to just simply click up to the Mythic Age through tier, before he farms, before he does anything, you've got to be thinking that Soup's got the advantage here in this game. We see a hill fort coming down. I don't think he needs to put the hill fort down on this position here. He could chuck it down on his Ford town center and be really, really happy about that. But you can see the resources floating. The question really is going to be, does he go through tier or does he go through Balder? Now, I personally don't mind either option here. I think both options are completely fine. But if he does go through Balder, don't click Ragnarok. There is no reason to click Ragnarok here in this position. The idea of going through Balder here is to get yourself straight in to Ballista and straight into Fire Giant. That is the reason you go in Balder. If you go through tier, you can click Fimble Winter and you can start looking to get like a third gold mine gold starve. Or a fourth gold mine gold starve. That's not going to happen here. But controlling the corner of the map here and start playing for like a different sort of game. So what is the question? The question is, what is Soup going to be doing? Is he still pumping more military buildings down? Simply just setting up, defending. This is the biggest boom game I've ever seen in this matchup. And farms are starting to come down. I think that Soup has not quite managed this as best I would have liked to have seen. I really would have liked to have seen Soup here go to the Mythic Age already. Instead, he's dropped down 2 hill forts. Obviously, the hill forts are going to be a big help. He's going to be making Huskal and everything like that. He does have to be worried about Axemen coming through. Spearmen are coming out here for Joe at this point as well. He does have the Frost to stop an Ancestors, but in all honesty, you kind of want to save that Frost for a Son of Osiris. There's now Soup looking to put some pressure on as he doesn't really want to go to the next stage. He's got a couple more houses to put down, walls coming down in the top corner of the map, villages on these giraffe over there, farms coming up in the main base as well. Joe's got all the farms in his main base, and does he have? He does have plow. That's good. That's good. As the house is coming down now for Soup in the middle of the map, and we'll see how it all eventuates here as the Spearmen starting to push across here. It's a very weird map, very weird game here. Soup's got plenty of gold. He can buy his way to the next age here if he so chooses. And it does look like Soup can very easily take this fight here as Joe does see the infantry army has been produced. We see all the spearmen coming out, and now funnily enough here, the correct play for both players should be that Soup needs to go for cavalry immediately here or start upgrading cavalry, and Joe needs to start transitioning into Axemen. But Balder coming through, I mean, maybe not. Maybe he can just start putting walls down everywhere. If he finds walls up, say, on this position here, puts a hill fort down, then he can start setting up Ballista to push through into the main town center, and Joe is not going to be able to defend that. I mean, Joe, on the other hand, I feel like Joe was really far behind because he's farmed, because he's used his prosperity, because he's farmed. He's like got all of the villages out, but he's an Egyptian economy, which means he's behind, right? That's what that means. Soup does have to be careful over here. He's kind of allowing these random houses in the middle of the map to get taken down. The other option, obviously, is to sit up here and start building hill forts and things here and start going into the Ballista where that's concerned, as the walls are coming up. And obviously, Joe is going to be concerned about Ragnarok coming through. But if Soup plays this right, I don't think he needs to Ragnarok. I just don't think he needs to. Because there's not going to be anything coming for him from Joe's perspective that forces him to Ragnarok. And he can just wait until a position where he feels like a Ragnarok is going to be able to get a gold starve rather than using it straight away. He's got a really strong army here. He needs to get some more upgrades, get himself those heavy infantry through. We do see those priests able to snipe down the Frost Giant really, really quickly there. As those Hearse are getting sniped down, the Huskarl are able to take out the Chariot Archers beautifully fast there. As the Spearmen getting taken out as well. We do see that Suppe is still very healthily sitting at 133 population. Joe's losing his units quite quickly here, as Suppe's got to be super happy right now. Like, he's got all the economy. He's got himself in the Mythic Age. He's going to have Fire Giant here. He's going to have everything he needs. All he needs now is walls and Ballista to be able to take down those priests. And what can Joe realistically do to push out? He's going to be building his markets. Joe's kind of happy in a way to sit back and do nothing. We have seen that Suppe's managed to get some side builds in here as well. Absolutely love that. And now we see the Osiris coming through for Joe. The most important thing here for Suppe is to set up Ballista, and he's still making those Huskarl. I need to see him setting up a position that he can sit on and prevent Joe from kind of finding anything with. He needs to set that position up early, or he will be forced into some sort of a Ragnarok. As we do see the villagers pushing around here, they see that this is an opening. He's going to have to throw some walls down there, but Suppe is already in on this position. I'd love to see like Longhouses more sneakily placed there for later in the game, as we are going to be seeing these stone gates that Joe has placed down getting taken down here as the Mythic Age pops for Joe. Joe's still got a long way to go to get himself the upgrades he needs to kind of compete with the Suppe army. But Suppe here, what can he really do? What should he do? He could go for a Ragnarok with a Titan to break through these walls. That would be a completely valid, fair thing to do, as we do see the Longhouse here getting taken down, or getting spotted here as champion infantry is getting researched here. And Suppe feels a little bit at a loss here. The question, I think the answer is obvious. You set up some hill forts at this position here, right out the front, and build Ballista. That's got to be the right thing to do, as we see Iron Shields of Thor coming through, coming for Suppe. I mean, I honestly don't think that armor upgrades are that important at this exact stage. More so important are going to be buildings in the center of the map to control that. So you do see the units now pushing out. The Son of Osiris here is going to be able to do a ton of damage. There's also mummies here that the Fire Giant have to be worried about without having Ballista to snipe those down. It can be a very, very tough to keep your Fire Giants alive. There's units pushing through. We do see the Huskarl here and the Thrown Axeman get that champion upgrade as the Son of Osiris pushing forward. We see the Huskarl going to be attempting to take down the mummy. The mummy's move at 4.0 speed. The Fire Giant. Oh, we do see the mummy misclicks as the Fire Giant can snipe down that mummy beautifully. Nice play there from Suppe as he's able to hold on as the army's still sitting on this position here. As, I mean, Suppe's economy is now sitting 82 villages, 11 ox caravan. Just get all the upgrades. He doesn't need to worry about Ragnarok. Ragnarok is not a god power he needs to use here in this game. I like the usage of the Fire Giants here to try and take some damage out on that Son of Osiris here. But Suppe here, hill fort. Now he's finally worked this one out to put that hill fort down a little bit late here, as we do see the units now popping into this position over here. A hill fort going to be coming in to try and stop the trade route from coming through, as now, well, Joe has to decide whether or not he comes over here to deal with this, as we are starting to see some raiding cavalry coming through. Do they have any upgrades or not is the big question. He needs a lot more production out to deal with these axemen here, as the raiding cavalry don't have any upgrades. As you do see Suppe now pushing through on this position. We've got the chariot archers coming through here. There are a handful of Huskarl already in to deal with this. I imagine that Oxguard is going to be the one of the first targets here, as more Ulfsark are coming in. We do see the minions getting dropped. Ignore this. Save. No. Oh, you were doing it so well. Not the Ragnarok. It's a huge Ragnarok. 325 population Ragnarok with 15 ox caravan to boot. So it's not all in the slightest, but Suppe does not have the favor to get himself a Titan out. There are so many walls here. There are so many walls here. He can't push through on this position. I think he has to send everything through over here. The Son of Osiris is sitting under a monument to the soldiers for the time being, so he needs to take that down. Luckily, it's only 640 monument, 640 HP, 732 HP now with, I guess, Masons came through as the units coming through to try and take down that Son of Osiris here. As the wall's getting broken down, the army comes through to snipe down all of those chariot archers here as Soup marches in to this location here to take out the barracks and everything else here on this position. There's no siege here for Soup. If he wanted to click Ragnarok, he could have made 10 portable rams or something in order to push through here as well. He had the fire giants. He had the he could have had the rams. He could have broken through this position really, really fast. Meanwhile, over this position, the buildings are still getting taken down there. As Soup's got plenty of resources in the bank to mass a ton of fire giants. Put a hill fort or something down on this position as you're pushing through. Can we take down the monument to the soldiers to click Frost here would be a really smart move as well. Still no hill fort getting placed down by Soup as he is throwing everything through. His 3 Migdol strongholds and a fortified town center on this position. The fire giant gets taken down there as well. As the army trying to clean up this Migdol stronghold. Look at the beautiful concave here that Joe has managed to create. And Joe, I mean, he's got no resources in the bank right now, but he's sitting at full population here. Axemen are going to be able to be popping out immediately as well as the hill fort does get cleaned up. And Soup is dropped down to 159 population already here. As he's still trying to break through. He still has Frost remaining here in this game. But his army just gets absolutely cleaned up. As he makes the decision to click the button due to Ancestors getting clicked, which was doing next to nothing. And Soup taps out. That moment when you watch a game, you feel like the Norse player is playing it really, really well. And he clicks resign. Clicks the button, clicks resign. I'm so upset. Soup had every opportunity here to put hill fort after hill fort in the center of the map, create the Ballista composition, which is impossible for an Egyptian player to deal with, and win this game without Ragnarok. He also had the opportunity here to click Titan and Ragnarok, which means he would have been able to send the Titan through, break down the walls, and then flood through onto this position with all of his army as well. He had that opportunity as well. He had another opportunity to hold Ragnarok for even longer to set up a ton of towers. He could have set up a ton of towers here in this game as well. He did not need to be pushing in. Joe was just saying, come at me. He was just saying, I don't need to do anything. I'm just going to sit back and let you do what you want. Whenever your opponent says, I'm just going to sit back and let you do whatever you want, what do? 1, wall them in. A wall over here, bam. A wall over here, bam. A wall over here, bam. Take the entirety of the map, put buildings everywhere. Set up the unbeatable composition and push through and win. Absolutely loved Soup's strategic decision making here in the early game. I love the far second town site. I love the third town site. I would have preferred to see him go tier here as the only complaint. Early tier, and then go in with Ballista and everything and push through and try and win the game. But he went through Balder, didn't mind it, just needed to put some effort into getting some siege or anything else apart from just clicking Rag without any prep. Anyways, GG. If you guys enjoyed this game, please consider hitting the follow on the Twitch. If you're on the YouTubes, hit that subscribe button. And I'll see you guys in the next game.